like a real cycle of, you've got Jukebox Man and Handstands, kind of the slightly, or the open Grade 1 horses leading the way. And as you say, a plethora of so many exciting young novices in the hurdles and the chasing sphere. But the Jukebox Man's win in the King George was the first open Grade 1 win of your career. You'd obviously had Grade 1 winners in novice races. Did that feel like a real monkey off the back?
I don't think it did, because we'd never had an opportunity to win one before.
But it's interesting, because I think afterwards in the interview, you said, we thought we'd come here with a good chance, but we thought he'd run well.
Yeah.
Was there a feeling before that day then, you weren't 100% sure, maybe because you hadn't done it before, that he was definitely going to go and win something like a King George?
There's two ways of looking at it. I don't think it was a monkey off our back, because actually Handstands was our first ever runner in our 13th season in an open Grade 1 in the Betfair. And he ran very, very well for a long way, and then just in hindsight had a breathing issue at the home straight, and that explained a lot. And he ran brilliantly well at in the Fleur de Lis, giving weight away, and I was delighted with Sunday. But the Jukebox Man, I suppose, was the second, and it was just touted to be the best King George we'd seen for so long. The horses in it were quite clearly proper Grade 1 proven horses, Gaelic Warriors, Banbridges. There were a lot of very, very good horses, and it was going to take an extraordinary run to compete, but to win it, we on ratings had to find £20. We believed he could do it. We believed he was good enough. And I suppose the only thing to me was, if he wasn't good enough, then, oh golly gosh, what was going to be? I was going to have to go back to the drawing board and think, where are we going now? What's going to be better than Jukebox? Because he is a talented horse with a lot to look forward to. But it was an amazing day. It was fabulous to be part of the race. It was even better to come out on top in such a close finish. And I can't wait to see how we get on the rest of the season, because some people might think he's now a Kempton specialist. I'd possibly say he's not suited to Kempton that well. And
what makes you say that?
From the back of 3 out, he looked like he could win it by 4 or 5. He was going the best. Ben had got him in a fabulous position. He quickened up to 3 out, winged it, and I thought, now you go away. And they quickened the calibre of the race. They all quickened together. Actually, he then looked flat out. And it was only for a bit of his guts and determination to get back up after the last, which won him the race. I wouldn't say. I just think he can gallop at a strong pace for a long time, and he's only going to get better with a bit further.
When you have a massive contender in a race like the King George, the noise is always going to be huge. What pressure did you feel leading up to that race? I didn't feel any pressure from the outside world, the press, the media, nothing like that. I just had a personal pressure just to have him spot on. That was my job, to have him spot on. If he didn't win because he wasn't good enough, that was okay. But it would have been disappointing, or if he'd not been competitive. But the pressure I probably put on myself was to have him absolutely spot on. And I think we could confidently say that we felt we did. Ben Jones genuinely said that he probably took a little bit of a blow going to 2 out, and that we could improve again. So we'll make sure we put another couple of pieces into him for March. But we won't be far away. What is it about him and how he felt in the King George that makes you think Cheltenham, the Gold Cup's right for him?
Well, first of all, I've never ridden in the Gold Cup, so I can't say he's 100% a Gold Cup horse or whatever. It's only my opinion. I think from word go, it's just been his class that has always been a level above others that I've been riding. And the way he goes through his races, he just finds everything so effortless, and just lobs and jumps and just gets in a brilliant rhythm every time. And I think the faster, like the King George, we thought we were going to go very fast. We didn't in the end, but I think that whatever speed we go in the Gold Cup, he'll be able to just to lob and jump and get in a good rhythm. And I genuinely think he is an out and out stayer, even though that he has got has got a bit of speed about him as well.
But that is the question mark that punters and racing fans will be wanting to know your thoughts on. You say you've not ridden a Gold Cup horse or ridden in a Gold Cup, but you've ridden top class staying chasers. You've won Coral Gold Cups and all sorts. You get the impression that he is an out and out stayer, and 3 miles 2 will be right up the street.
Yeah, I think the way I probably look at it is that you look at the Quarter Stars and stuff. They won over 2 mile, and then they won a Gold Cup. Like it's just the class, and I think he genuinely could run over 2 mile, and I do believe that he will stay 3 mile 2 as well.
Having an association with a Gold Cup candidate and one that's going to be quite a short price for the biggest race, arguably, of the season, does that give you a bit of extra motivation to get up nice and early in the mornings?
Yeah, well, it's always been an early start here when I'm riding now, but yeah, look, to have a Gold Cup contender, to have a ride in it, let alone a contender, is brilliant. And we're obviously a couple of months away now, so we'll just keep our head down and get through the next couple of months, and then look forward to it when we get into March.
And if he gets there in one piece, what will it feel like for you as an achievement, just going down to the post in a Gold Cup? Because that's what young jockeys dream of. Yeah,
it'd be a massive achievement, and I think we won't really have. Well, I'll find not much pressure really, because he's already gone and won a Gold Cup, really. You know, with the King George. So it's a massive race, and now we can just kind of sit back and enjoy him and let him show us how good he actually is.
The Christmas period was obviously great with the Jukebox Man, but it got even better on the 27th in the Wayward Lad when Mambo Number Five went and won, and he was so impressive doing it. The feeling I get from you, the whole team, and you've been consistent throughout with this horse, is that the further he goes, the better he's going to be. So what is it like having a horse that's winning 2 mile graded novice chases, and you actually think you'll see the best of him over a trip?
There was no two ways about it going into the Wayward Lad. I mean, Lynn and Angus, who own him, were asking questions about the ground. Ollie, who rides him, was saying, "Are you really going to run him on that ground?" And I said, yeah, because he's not going to injure himself on it. You know, he's a very, very sound horse. The way he was all at sea down the back straight. I mean, he made 2 mistakes. He's a brilliant jumper. He made 2 mistakes just because he was going so fast. He was so far out of his comfort zone, and I just thought, well, we found out that he's probably not, you know, a genuine 2 miler. We know he's not, but he wasn't able to cope with the conditions. And then he jumped the last in the back straight and came hard back on it and did it all very easily. So it was an extraordinary race to watch, because at halfway point I thought we were out with the washing.
How good do you think he is? Am I crazy in thinking that he has just as much talent as a horse like the Jukebox Man?
I hope so. I really do. He's certainly not at this moment in time telling us he doesn't. He was well thought of in France, even though he didn't win. And then obviously we brought him to England, and he was just a disaster. First run, he ran, it's like a bull in a china shop, just ran through the bridle the whole way.
But he was double the size of everything else in the field.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
He just wasn't a 3-year-old, was he?
No. And then the Adonis was great. You know, it was nice to win a Grade 2 with him, but I don't think it was the greatest race. And then obviously went to Aintree, and like so many of mine didn't run their race because we hadn't got on top of the gallop. And this season's been foot perfect. I mean, this season he has been quite incredible for a 4-year-old. Open, you know, in open handicap company. You know, Highlands Legacy, another horse that went and won at Windsor the other day. That's strong form behind him.
Might you have 2 in the King George next year?
Oh, golly gosh.
Is that something you don't want to think about?
Possibly. It would be a big step to go from 2 to 3 straight away, but, you know, I suppose Django Bai did that. You know, if there was a stepping stone, it'd be nice to take it. But I do think he's probably going to be a very able 3 mile chaser.
I can't wait to see it. But there's a real list of exciting novice chasers as well. Meet Me by the Sea's done nothing wrong. Over fences, no questions asked. Vanderpoel, even at Sandown, so good. That division is particularly strong, and they all, it seems like from this, from where we are now in the season to say the Cheltenham Festival, everything's mapped out for them, Meet Me by the Sea could go up in trip?
Yeah, he's just a nice horse. Again, a great big staying chaser for the future that seems to be operating very, very well over 2 miles. No questions asked. Was very good early season. Just got outstayed by Wendigo. At Newbury, which was no bad thing. I think Wendigo's a very good horse. I was disappointed with him in the Noel. He never jumped like he can. He never travelled that well. I think it was all a bit too quick after Newbury, and then I really did want him to have the opportunity of open handicap, so I ran him in the lightning chase, and he hadn't been in great form at home. But they went silly quick in front, and it sort of just set it up for the horse that managed to jump and travel, and he just found his way into the race, and Be Aware made a couple of mistakes up the home straight, which obviously helped us. But that's great for him to have won his grade 2, but we'll now look at where we go with him, whether we go to Cheltenham in a handicap or whether we go straight to Aintree for the 2.5 grade 1 Novice Chase. That could be his race, I feel, because he's high 140s now, so it's probably quite hard to win a handicap off that as a novice, but we'll see. They'll be in everywhere, but we've got a lovely bunch of novice chasers, which bodes well for the future, really.
I want to talk about Twig. What a revelation he's been this season. Won the Becher. All roads now lead back to the Grand National?
They do, yeah. I wasn't... At the start of this season, I said to the Morgans, Georgia and Aaron, who own them, I said, look, let's forget about the Grand National. We ran there last year. We finished a very gallant 10th without ever getting involved. And we all agreed that we'd be heading towards the Veterans Final at Sandown. And then he went and won at Sandown, and then he went to the Becher and won that, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, might have to rethink this, because it's the William Hill $500,000 bonus race, Becher to the National. You get your entry paid for you. Why not? And actually, if you then think about it logically, is he going to win a National? I doubt it. Could he be more competitive than he was last year? Yes. It was Beau's first ride in the race. We jumped off towards the back and we're never competitive. But he definitely stayed the trip. Did he stay the trip because we rode in that way? We'll find out. But he's in a great place. He's obviously, still as good as he ever was. And he jumps. We haven't got that many options now, because we'll probably run him over hurdles as a prep run, because the national fences as they are now, we all know that there's 1.5 foot of fluff on top of an easy fix fence in respect. So the horse that skims from A to B is the most effective jumper around there. And that's why Tiger Roll was so good, because he sort of just literally just skimmed over the top. And Twig's realised that you can dangle your legs and skim through them. So he doesn't even snap his legs up like he should do anymore. So when he went round Sandown, yes, he won, but a couple of places I was like, oh, just wish you'd pick up your knees a bit more. So he's suited to the fences. Why not have one more roll of the dice? He's not getting any younger. Is he 11 or so now? But he's a bit of a hero, and a horse that's done a huge amount for Beau in particular. He was here as a 4-year-old for his owner breeder, Laurie and Alicia Strangman, and they're lovely people. But at the time he was woeful. He was forever sick, couldn't really get out of his own way. And they said to me, plain and simply, do you think he's going to make a racehorse that has a chance of paying for himself? And at the time, faced with the facts, I said, no.
Really?
I don't think, he doesn't seem to have what it takes. I'm not sure he's got the best immune system, and I think we're going to struggle. So they said, well, if you can find him a home. And I said, well, Beau Morgan is about to start his point-to-point career. He's looking for a horse to have his first ride on. What about it? And they said, yeah, marvellous. So they sold him to the Morgans for a measly sum, just so that they officially owned him. And I mean, I think he won 4 or 5 point-to-points, most of his hunter chases, and he's just an amazing horse. He's gone from strength to strength, so hopefully the Stranglers look on it very proud, because it must be a bitter pill to swallow, having a horse running in nationals. But at the same time, he's ended up in the right place at the right time. He's formed a phenomenal relationship with Beau, and they literally are in sync. I've never seen a horse and a jockey that get on so well.
Could Handstands join him?
Very much so, I think, yeah.
Why? Because at the start of the season we had a conversation and you said that he was a Gold Cup horse. Mm-hmm. It's not gone as you'd hoped, but he's ran a massive race at Windsor when we last saw him. What makes you think Aintree?
So if you look at Handstands' season last year, it was incredible. You know, 2 or 3 grade 2s and a grade 1. 2 grade 2s and a grade 1. Obviously didn't turn up like most of mine didn't at Aintree, but that's fine. Came into this season and he's an incredibly sound horse. He's a very, very talented horse. And I just thought we were only scraping the barrel, we were, only skimming the surface, as it were. And he went to Carlisle and looked a bit lethargic. Went to the Becher Chase, still ran well at Carlisle in the end, but got beaten. Went to the Becher Chase, travelled and jumped exactly as I dreamt he would. And the one thing I was certain he would do was turn the burners on from turning for home, and he curled up and didn't finish properly. And it was actually Tim Radford, his owner, who said, Benny, just get his wind checked, because we'd never heard anything. And sure enough, he had an unstable, soft palate. So we've done his soft palate. We've bored him back. We only got 1 or 2 proper pieces of work in before Windsor. He had to give Protector at £8. He's been beaten 6. And I always think first run after a wind operation, you've got to accept the fact they're going to have to learn to trust themselves again. And to me, he jumped well. He was a little bit behind the bridle, but it was a good performance. And my view is that he's suddenly going to end up with what I think is a lenient handicap mark for a horse of his ability. He's nowhere near proven what I think he could be. But if he is what I think he is, this is the season to have a go at the National. It's not, as we've discussed, it's not the race it was. It's not the jumping test it was. And novices, or second season novices, have a decent record in the race. Will he stay that trip? I always thought he'd stay as far as we wanted him to. Some people will say to me, he looks like a 2.5 miler, but I'm certain he's not. And if we're to have one crack at it with him, let him have a go, and maybe he can scale the heights to where I expected him to be next year. The National, from the way it's changed, means that it can almost be a stepping stone to becoming a good horse, because we all know that you need a graded horse, realistically almost a Gold Cup horse, to win a National off a lower mark. And if he goes and proves himself as that and comes back at it next season rated 170, then, it's going to be hard work, isn't it?
So the Grand National is the aim. I'm interested to see how you plot his way there.
Potentially could run an Ultima. The weights will be out for the National by then. He could run in a hurdle. He will need a run. I'm determined that he'll need another run at least, just to almost believe in himself again. And we'll see from there. The only issue with the Ultima is that it's quite close to Cheltenham, to Aintree, and it's quite hard. But it has been used obviously by Corrick Rambler and been well publicised by a few horses. The Ultima as a good test. So we'll keep our options open, but be quite exciting if he has dropped to rating at the moment where an Ultima is an option. You know, at the start of the season, you wouldn't have thought so.